Okay, so we need to finish up lesson 5.4 today. So yesterday we were learning about imaginary numbers and different ways to get it, and today we're going to work with them a little bit more. Electronics is one area that uses imaginary number sum, and for some reason they've decided they're going to use the letter J rather than the letter I. When we're working with this, if you're more comfortable with it, just change this to 1 plus 4i and then 3 minus 6i. All right, and so we need to find the voltage, and they say that we can find the voltage by multiplying the current by the impedance. So we're just going to multiply those two together, and when we're multiplying two groups, we have to put them in parentheses. And then we're just going to FOIL this. So the first two gives us 3. Outside is negative 6i. Inside is 12i. And then the last one is 24i squared. So combining like terms, we get 3. Those two make positive 6i. But now this term right here, that I squared is going to make negative 1. So negative 24 times negative 1 is actually positive 24. And now we have two more terms that can be combined together, the 3 and the 24, to make 27 plus 6i. And that is the simplified answer. So that was multiplying. Now we're dividing. So the problem with dividing is that it's just not mathematically correct to have an imaginary number in the denominator. Similar, you cannot have a square root in the denominator, and we need to get rid of them. So we're going to get rid of them the same way that we got rid of the square roots, and that is multiplying by the conjugate. So the conjugate is the denominator, but you change the plus to a minus. So we're going to multiply top and bottom by 3 minus 2i. And 3 minus 2i. Okay, on the top we could just distribute that through, and we'll get 15i minus 10i squared. Okay, let's go ahead and just simplify that a little bit more. We'll come back to the denominator. This I squared actually makes negative 1. So negative, and the 10 was already negative, so that's going to make it positive 10. Okay, now let's take a look at the denominator. We're going to need to FOIL that, and I'm just going to work it out down below. So the first two is 9. Outside is minus 6i. Inside is plus 6i. And last is negative 4i squared. Now the reason we chose the conjugate is because these two inside terms will cancel out. When we set up the problem that way, if it didn't cancel out for you, that means you didn't set it up correctly. Then we have 9. Remember, I squared is negative 1, so it actually becomes plus 4, meaning that it is just 13. So we go over here, and the answer is 13, and that's how we can leave our answer. Now, another way we could write the answer would be 15i over 13 plus 10 over 13. Either way will work. You can do either answer. Sometimes you might have to write it like this, and then you'd have to reduce the fractions, because you should reduce the fractions if you can. Okay, how about one where it just has one I term? It doesn't have a real term in the denominator. This one you don't need to use the conjugate. It's a little bit easier. You can just multiply it by 2i on the top and bottom. Actually, never mind. You just multiply by I. That would be a little bit quicker. It'll be less canceling. Okay, so on the top we get 5i plus I squared, because we're distributing that in. And the denominator we get 2i squared. And then the numerator is 5i, and then that I squared would become minus 1. And then in the denominator another I squared, so it is negative 2. And so that's one way to leave our answer. Usually you don't have a negative in the denominator, so we can multiply top and bottom by negative 1, and you'd get negative 5i plus 1 over 2. And so just to review, I multiplied by negative 1 to get that to work. And so you could write your answer like this, or you could separate it and write the answer like that. Okay, that's all we have for the second half of this lesson. Just to make sure that you remember we got to do the conjugate, and we need to get those i's out of the denominators.